Hello guys, welcome back to Power Pistons, your go-to space for all things on motorsports. Thank you so much for your response on the previous video where I talked about motorsports and racing in a podcast with my friend and content creator. I was overwhelmed with the response. After watching that video, a lot of my friends and family had started discussing about it in their households, which is really great. I'm glad that I could ignite interest in this motorsports field. And a lot of friends had been pinging me asking how they can develop interest or how they can start watching motorsports. So I want to make a small video on it so that I can give you a direction for watching motorsports and follow it in the right way like I did. So let's dive into it. We are the nation that love sports, action, drama, and we are the best fans in the world. We have proved it time to time. If we like someone from cricket or movies, we treat them like demigods or even more gods. So in a nation where cricket is so dominating in terms of viewership and followers, it's really hard for any other sports to get such popularity with huge potential. Any person in this country had batted, bowled, or much worse, had fielded at least once in their lifetime because we are so much into that game. As that is established, other sports have their recognition due to be credited, and a lot of world-class athletes are being produced from India, which is a good sign in terms of sports direction. Now coming to motorsports, as the name suggests, this sports involves machines and engines which are competed against each other. When such high-performance engines are involved, the action is real life. And these machines are not ordinary ones. They are made for specific purpose to race against each other. There are a lot of racing series happening all over the world all the time. And if I were you and want to understand motorsports, first I would not hesitate myself to learn new things and get overwhelmed by the motorsports elevation. I mean, nobody told me to watch and play cricket when I was a kid. It just happened like that when I just watched Sachin playing those big shots and developed interest in the game like everyone else did. And I started loving motorsports when I saw an article in Hindu newspaper where Michael Schumacher was winning consecutive championships in F1, and I accidentally watched Valentino Rossi's MotoGP race where he was leaning around 40 degrees in one corner, and I was just amazed by that sport, and that's how I fell in love with the game. This happened when I was a kid, when I was curious so much. I think we have to keep that kid alive in ourselves to learn new things and develop in life. If you ever want to follow motorsports and get into it, I would suggest you to start with F1 and MotoGP. Formula 1 is a car racing series. It's an open wheel and single-seater car racing series. And MotoGP is the bike version of Formula 1. Let's take an example of Formula 1 racing just to establish connection with motorsports. F1 is the highest level in Formula cars. We have F1, F2, F3 and F4. The number defines the performance of that car, F1 being the highest and F4 being the lowest. So any driver who's driving an F1 race car will have to go through all these levels below F1. And a typical F1 car driver starts his career with go-kart racing at around age 4 to 5 years old, and he climbs all the way up from F4, F3, F2 and F1. On the grid there are usually 10 teams with 2 drivers each, and these teams might be owned by an automotive manufacturer or a businessman who is passionate in racing, or maybe any other reason, which makes it 20 drivers per grid. A typical race weekend is a 3 days of action, which starts from Friday and ends on Sunday. So on Friday there are 2 practice sessions or 2 or more practice sessions sometimes, just to give the race car driver a good feel about that car and particular racetrack, and just to test himself how he can push that car to the limits so that he will not be surprised during the actual race. And on Saturday we have qualifying session. In qualifying session, the drivers have to set their best lap times, and these lap times determine the position on the grid for the next day on Sunday, which is the race day. After the race, the first 3 drivers who crosses the finish line will be awarded the podium positions. The feature race is typically for around 1 to 1.5 hours. As the season goes on, drivers and teams will be awarded points from their race weekend results, and these results of points will be summed up at the end of all the races, which is around 20 to 23 races long, and the championships to driver and the team will be awarded separately. This is just a small representation of how one of the motorsport racing series works throughout the year. This is now the whole representation of all the races happening out there. If you are in India and want to start watching F1 or MotoGP, you can tune into Fancode for F1 and Jio Cinema for MotoGP. And trust me, I am not advertising for any of these streaming platforms. This is just my intention to give you the information on where to start watching this series. So if you have any other questions or want to learn more on motorsports, please comment down below, and don't forget to hit that like button. Please subscribe and keep following this space for more motorsports content. This is Power Pistons signing off. Ciao, ciao.